Welcome to Cuz We Can Farms. We are Heather and Kimmy, best friends for over 30 years.
She looks like an angel with the sun behind her. And I mean that in the most non-romantic...
A pig pen angel.
non-romantic way. Because we're not a couple.
No, we're not. All of this lumber has been milled off of my Wood-Mizer LT35 that I bought when I bought the property. It's definitely been a fun experience learning how to use this thing. And it's really, really cool to mill trees off of my own property to build the shop of my dreams. Fitted me.
No, I just didn't see it sliding on quite that easily.
Sure that I draw in my head.
That's true. I wish I could.
No, it's scary in there. It's my project and you know how things go. I'm sure you're screaming at your television set for me to do something and I'm just not hearing you. If you've ever thought about doing this but then thought that people would make fun of you or think that you're weird, well, find your tribe, because there's an entire group of us that live this way and absolutely have a blast doing it. Got mustard on my shirt from corn dogs earlier. Can't take me anywhere.
What are you?
I am hangry. Didn't you hear all those words I bleeped out?
I heard them. The rest of them won't. She forgot the cheese.
I didn't know about the cheese. Do I look Mexican to you? I look Swedish. Don't even throw out that I grew up in Arizona and Texas.
You should be the one that likes the spicy stuff.
I have a s'mores rack.
And or a zucchini rack.
Check out my rack.
Oh my. I have to live with her.
Last year we began setting posts for a 30 by 50 barn shop. This being a first for both of us. Come along with us while we work on figuring this out and having a great time while we do it.
Man, it's early.
It is early.
We were up at what, 3:45 I think this morning.
I was up all night long. I didn't really sleep well.
Well, you are old today.
I'm old.
It's Heather's birthday.
I should have slept really well. I'm old.
It's her birthday and we're out here working early.
It's my birthday. It's my birthday.
But yeah.
Kimmy says, what do you want for your birthday? I'm like, get these Girts on.
And we're working on it. But we got something special today.
We're really excited. You guys know it because you saw it in the thumbnail, but bam!
It's right there. She's a beaut.
Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Yes.
Which is the tractor. That is not our tractor. I don't know. Kimmy, you should be in this. We should like stand in front of the one with the tripod.
Okay.
Okay, so yesterday we got the posts all plumb.
Yay!
So well, not all the posts. These center ones aren't done, but we're not to those yet. But so today we're gonna work on getting the top girt on, which is a 2x12, which is ridiculously heavy. And so my son loaned us the tractor.
We are so blessed.
You guys see his equipment all the time in the background of our videos, and he actually has a landscaping company. If you are local to us, look up True Seasons if you need anything done.
We're not really sponsored.
We're not sponsored other than he's let us use the tractor. It's very brand new tractor that he says, be careful, Mom, it tips really easily. So, yay.
And she already is intimidated by this heavy equipment.
I don't like being jostled. I'm not intimidated by the heavy equipment. I just don't like being jostled at all. It's like a PTSD thing, and it like fully stresses me out. So, you know, where he's like, you're up really high and it tips real easy. I'm like, yeah.
And he'd gladly loan us his equipment, but unfortunately, he has to use it for...
Fortunately.
Yeah, fortunately. He uses it for work, which is understandable, so...
Yeah.
We just do what we can.
But anytime it's up here, I usually trade him stuff. So I'm milling for him and he does heavy equipment for me because he's just better and faster on it. And we're on a time crunch. So that's the story about the tractor. But we will be able to use it all the way to October. And then it has to go down to the company, his company base in Post Falls. So It'll be here for a couple of months, but hopefully we can get this barn built before then. And I think with the help of this tractor, that's going to make it very doable. So, best birthday present ever.
Yeah.
All right, first thing we have to do is clean up around the outside of the barn and get everything out of the way so that we can actually use the tractor and not run over things that, I don't know, could pop a tire, and then I'd be in a lot of trouble. And then we're going to come up with our game plan, and then we'll bring you guys back and definitely say a little prayer, because this is the scary part, I think.
Dear Heavenly Father, you know what we need. Amen.
Hi guys, Editor Heather here. I am going to walk you through some of the things that we were doing in the thought process that we had while we were starting to put Girts up on the barn.
Let's move some Girts.
So what we decided to do first was to bring the Girts to exactly where we needed them to be. We would then begin to cut them to length and put them up. When I put in the piers for this barn, it was literally the first time I'd ever done piers in my life. So we made them extra big so that I could move the posts and try to get things exactly where they needed to be, because I wasn't exactly sure where they are. That's the main reason why I did not use the normal brackets that people use, because you have to put those in the exact place, and I didn't know how to do that. So I did these metal plates that had a metal plate on the bottom of the post and a metal plate on the pier, and then we would weld those together. What I would actually do different, if I was to do this again, is I would not put that plate in the concrete. That plate does have a J hook made out of rebar in it to anchor that down and hold that down, but I actually would not do that. I would do either L brackets on both sides of the posts, or I would do a plate on the bottom of the post and then holes in those plates, and I would use bolts or screws down into the concrete that's then glued into the concrete. Break time! So basically, guys, when we take breaks, we take about 5 minutes. We sit down, we drink some water, we rehydrate, and then we get right back to it. We started out here this morning. It was about 4:35 a.m. and we ended up being done around 9:30. That's pretty average for us.
So why isn't Richard over here helping us?
Well, I hollered at Richard and so that he should be over here helping at the barn, and he was staring at a giant turkey that then gobbled at me, but I had to walk over there because I changed these bits out to make our hot tub. Which actually isn't a hot tub, it's a cold tub.
It's a cold tub right now.
Yeah, so that was my bad.
So someone was in his space, in his territory?
Yeah, so he was just standing over there flapping his arms like he knows how to do something.
That's why his original name was Flapjack.
Yeah. He thinks he's bad, Leroy Brown, but he's not. He's Richard Cranium. So what I decided to do first was measure 2 feet up on the first post, and then we strung a chalk line and made a chalk mark so that I knew exactly where 2 foot was on every single one of these posts. And that I did it that way because, again, I'm not absolutely positive that my piers are perfect, and I just wanted to make sure that that line was perfect and that first board was set correctly. So I had seen in a couple of videos where they had started with the top girts in order to pull the top part of those posts in so that they were perfectly plumb, hold that plumb while they put down the bottom girts, which probably would have been really simple for us to do if we had a lift or something like that. But because we're on extremely unlevel ground and on ladders, and you know, let's face it, we're ladies, so we're not as strong as the guys, and that's okay. We are fine with that. So I gave a phone call into Randy and asked him what he thought, how he thought we should do it, and he said start from the bottom and then you can pull in at the top, and then I'll go back in. So what I'm doing is I'm actually putting one screw on each end of the board, And what I'll do is once that top girt is in and everything is great and good and straight, then I'll go back and I'll add more screws to anchor that all in and keep it snug and tight. I am using structural screws. I think these are 3.5, could be 4-inch screws. So they're really good screws that were meant for this. This was what was recommended when I told them what we were doing. So at first I thought that I would do what I'd seen other people do, was to put the post up and then cut off the excess 2x6 material off on the post. I decided I didn't really like that particular way, so we measured the section, cut the post, and then put it up. That actually made this take a little bit longer than I guess it would be if you set them all up and you just cut them straight off of the post. But it worked for us, and I think that's the way that I would continue to do it.
Don't you be you and I'll be me.
We're gonna make some spacers.
So because I'm new to this, what are spacers? Can you explain it to me?
So we're gonna put set this on our first rung, and then it'll make these exactly 2 feet. They'll all be exactly the same all the way across for the next lineup.
Okay, I get that.
So this is a little bit different of a video for us. We normally like to take you guys right up close to where we're at and what we're doing. But honestly, you guys, we just wanted to get this job done. There's so much to do, and there's just the two of us. Of course, we could invite people out to help us, and they would very much do it. We have such a beautiful community of homesteaders around here. But for myself wanting to do this, wanting to take this journey and learn these things and do these things, I learn best while doing. And so we've basically just tried to keep it mostly the two of us. There are definitely things that we need help with, and we are not above asking for help. We really just like to try to get as much done as we possibly can before we ask other people to come in and help with our build. So you'll see us fiddling with the ladders, and that's the reason for that. We have to, make sure that they're stable because the ground is not even. I've had some people ask me why my piers are up that high. So basically, the very first northeast corner is our start corner. That one is a foot out of the ground, and then we leveled from the top of that. So you can see how much fill dirt we're gonna have to bring in and gravel and stuff to raise that to an even level, especially on the west end of the barn. It's actually really steep over there and pretty high up. So we're going to end up bringing in a lot of fill dirt. And then you bring that up to about, let's see, if we end up doing a 4-inch slab, which is probably what we'll end up doing, and then you have your 1 inch of foam insulation under that. So we'll be bringing the fill dirt up 7 inches from that, our start corner, which is the northeast corner, and then just leveling it all along the way. We decided to go ahead and get started on the barn build because that's something that we can actually do once the framing is up or even the roof is up. We can do that in the cold. I know it's really hard for you guys to see what we're doing over here in this corner, but what ended up happening here is we had to pull off some of our bracing in order to get our ladders in there to put the 2x6s up, and that did push the pole out of plumb. We went ahead and secured the 2x6, and this is actually where the lower 2x6 popped out and hit Kimmy on her foot again. And so that's where we went and picked up some longer screws and started using longer screws so that that wouldn't happen. We then had to plumb that southwest corner again, and we were able to do it without having to take off everything. The big problem was our boards that we used for bracing were not really long. We didn't have some super long 2x6s that we could put up there. That's something that I will remember in the future to mill so that we could do a better job bracing. This is actually the first time that I've ever built something on piers. When I built my last barn, we dug the holes and we put treated lumber we had round posts that went straight into the ground. We concreted into the ground, so we didn't have to do a huge amount of bracing like we had to do here. So this end where we're working at now, this is actually going to have a man door go through that particular section. So we end up deciding to put a board up really high just to help brace the barn. The center section is the section that's going to be a solid wall, and then the farther northeast section is there'll be a garage door there or a sliding door so that you could actually drive equipment into the shop or pull if we end up putting the sawmill in there, if we want to work or something like that this year, it'll go through that door. So that's why that one board 2x6 is put up really high and that there's none underneath that particular section.
Full stop. Can't believe I live in your thoughts. I think about you all the time, morning, evening, and midnight. Such a wonderful delight. Forgo, give up everything that I own. Yeah, I'd give it all up now just to be with you somehow. Unexpected love was found. You're the rose in a garden, and it shows if I'm honest. You're the leaves.
So you'll see on this end one, we do the exact same thing where we put a 2x6 all the way up at the top, and that's just to stabilize again. What ends up happening is the next step will be putting our 6x10 by 15s that will connect these side walls to the center posts, and then we have some 6x10 by 10s that actually go over these particular sections, and that's mainly what holds these posts all together. We need to be able to get our skid loader or our tractor inside the barn to put those big beams up to our center posts. So that's why we're not going ahead and putting extra boards on these ends, because we are going to have to take them off pretty quickly. And most likely what we'll do is we'll set those 6x10s here on the end, get those completely connected, and then take these 2x6s off so that we can drive the tractor in carrying the other beams. I'll tell you what, you learn so much off of your first big build, and there's so many things that I would absolutely do different. But I do believe that this barn shop is going to turn out to be very beautiful, and we can work with what we have, and the little imperfections that we have are not going to be that big of a deal. So right there I was measuring that barn because I couldn't remember what my shortest post was. That was at 9.5 feet. I was trying to make a decision if I wanted to make this bottom floor, the ceiling taller. And I can only go as tall as my lowest post, so that's going to be 9.5 feet in that particular section. Well, we usually call it quits about 10 o'clock, and we're hitting that spot because it's going to get hot. Sun came out. We didn't get as far as we wanted to do, but I think we've worked out all the kinks, which is really good because I think that's the stuff that takes the longest. Working with the rough cut lumber is a lot different than working with your big box brand store lumber, because those are all usually exact dimensions, where this is not. So we're cutting it as we go, and the thickness of the boards I milled the same, but the width of the boards could be off a little bit. So using our spacer, that makes that move a little bit quicker. But I love it. I think it looks great. And I think this week we'll be able to get all these girts up. So thanks for hanging out with us. Make sure you come back tomorrow. Bye.